You need a camera like this because I don't have to wear makeup anymore with this one.
That's awesome.
You're live saying that too, so it's awesome.
That's cool. That's fine. Fine by me. This
right.
magic don't happen on its own, baby.
You're live saying that too. Magic don't happen on its own, baby.
It's true.
It's facts.
Is there like background noise?
There's
Someone's
an echo,
got
yeah.
an echo.
It's true. Where's it coming from?
You?
I think you.
Yeah.
We're all wearing headphones.
Is there like background noise? Oh, yeah. Give me a second.
Starting off the new year with a bang.
Oh, too soon. Too soon, Hans.
Oh, no.
Too soon.
All right. Okay, sorry, it was Instagram or something. Sorry.
Mm.
Okay. I started out the whole Tesla beat making fun of Brian, and then I ended up being the funny one. So sorry about that. Had some mic issues, had to mute the Instagram Go Live tab. So let's go live on there. But Happy New Year, everyone. What a wild start to the year. I mean, like, you can't. We were talking a little bit amongst the four of us, just how unfortunate the events have been. We're going to get into some of it, obviously, because it's Cybertruck related or Tesla related. But obviously, we have some big news from yesterday. But Happy New Year to Hans, Brian, and Joe. How was your New Year?
Fantastic. Took the kids down to see a drone show in Portland. It wasn't of the high caliber, China kind where you see big old 3D dragons in the sky, but it also wasn't of the UFO variety, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely drones over fireworks. That's pretty impressive looking. I was at home. I slept. I was in bed by 12:02. So.
Oh, nice.
How about you, Hans? How was your New Year?
The last week was awesome. The New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, we were driving back from Colorado, so not a whole lot to report from the actual day of festivities.
No worries. Well, I just hung out with the family, but we've been hosting for about the past week and a half, so it was a good holiday season for sure. All right. Well, this we all know who the CEO of Tesla. It's Kikius Maximus. For like 2 days, Elon climbing to the top of the Path of Exile rankings. He's like 263 or something like that in the world. But so that was like a good meme for the day. All right, well, quick. I did year to date, so this is probably going to be one of the shortest charts you'll see all year. Obviously, we all know that there was this insane run up since the election, and it definitely has cooled off a little bit, but also to, at least from the street's perspective, it was a miss to the Wall Street expectations. So it cooled off a little bit as well. So it's hovering around 387 versus the 434 last week. All right, well, let's just get into it. So big news that came off yesterday was Q4 deliveries. They delivered 495,570. They also deployed about 11 gigawatt of energy storage products, which we'll get into as well. But I did want to showcase that this was about a 2.3% growth year over year for Q4. On the bottom right, I have a lot of the growth rates. And then you do see in the bottom left, you do see the 1.79 million of full year deliveries that they did. But yeah, let's just get into it. Who wants to kick us off with just what your thoughts were, reactions to seeing these numbers and what?
My big thought was, it was only in 2020 that Tesla delivered 499,000 for the year. And we're looking at 495,000 for a quarter and going, oh man, what's gone wrong? The demand is gone. The story has been told. It's over. Anyone who was paying attention knew this was a gap year. And next year we've got a little bit of tailwind and a little bit of headwind. The headwind being all 4 factories are going to retool for Juniper. That's going to slow things down. The first part of the year is going to look potentially slow, certainly the first half. But Juniper is going to have more demand than the existing Model Y. Interest rates should be at least, at worst, what they are today, likely better. The federal credit should continue at least for the first half of the year, maybe even for the entire year. And then we've got the added tailwind of the fact that the Juniper is easier to make and cheaper to build, assuming that is just like the Highland refresh was, and that is all the indications that we have so far, which would mean that we will see a modest growth next year. Cybertruck now qualifies for the IRA in some trim configurations at least, which means it's more affordable. That price elasticity says they will sell even more of them. So there are tailwinds. I'm expecting modest growth in 2025. And then when the Cybercab becomes a production vehicle, hold on to your butts.
And don't forget new models coming out in Q1 of this year as well. So, and now the Juniper refresh may be qualifying as one of those, but we should get at least one more, if not multiple other models early this year. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with Brian. I think that for people who look at the Tesla story as an automotive only story, that yes, this would be disappointing. And if you're just valuing the company based on their unit growth of the bare metal, well, then, this is not the best news that you could have. And it doesn't surprise me that we've seen the stock cooling off a little bit as well. I think that as reality check kind of comes in, both for the Tesla story on unit growth and also the reality of the political situation, that a lot of people's rosy expectations of what all Elon is going to be able to get done are going to it's just going to be a lot harder to do a lot of the things that people want to do, which doesn't mean that they won't get done eventually, but it's not going to happen instantaneously. And so I think that we could actually still be in for a little bit more of a cool off period for the stock, unless the energy storage piece of the equation just comes in with massive earnings growth, which could really help to offset the disappointment in unit growth for the vehicle segment.
Yeah, I'd be very shocked. But I mean, there was just a whole from September to November, like when everything was all politics and there was really no sales and nothing was really happening. I think people just forgot that whole 2.5 months of where nobody was doing anything and all the companies were like, hey, we're not producing anything until 2028 and all this type of stuff. And there's just been so much miss for battery EVs, except for BYD and Tesla. And it's nobody's paying attention to that. It's just wild to me. Man, Tesla's just doing whatever it can and staying consistent. And yeah, this 1% difference is a miss for Wall Street. I could care less. But like Brian said, I mean, just a few short years ago, it was struggling to try and meet the numbers that we're making per quarter in the entire year. And now it's oh man, there's the failures happening because they can't do these numbers every day. It's calm down. It's so bizarre to me. But man, do not sleep on BYD. And I'm just talking battery EVs. They did I think they were just a few thousand short of Tesla's 1.7 something. So yeah, it's China's happening, man, and people are not paying attention. And I mean, Hans has said it before, we're basically at a war, and you know what I mean? People are just not even focusing on it. They're just trying to crap on Tesla, and this are only American in the fight. And it's just wild that nobody really gets behind it and really is supportive. But it's happening. It's going down.
Yeah, I think as we know, Tesla has a growth story issue. So thought I would show the charts here. Shout out to I cannot underscore enough, James. But this is just a
Best
quick
name ever.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
is.
So here's just a quick look, at each quarter's results. So you can see, yes, versus last year, it did drop, but overall, I mean, just 2 years ago, they're continuing to do well. In my personal opinion, I think we always kind of joke at the beginning of the podcast specifically about the stock. And I think it's kind of one of those things where a lot of times it's like, hey, we're not always like watching the stock day by day. And I think that that's the big thing here is that, don't sleep on this company. If we've already gone this far, I mean, there's so many people who've shorted the company who are now not shorting the company. This company, in my opinion, again, do your own research, but I think they'll continue to have their chat GPT moment and NVIDIA like moments. I mean, you saw the insane run up. At one point, I believe the stock was up like 100% at its peak. But this company, nothing about the fundamentals have changed since last quarter, right? And I think that's going to be the big thing here. And more importantly, the roadmap, and more importantly, what this company is about to do, whether it's full self-driving, solving that, or really the robotics and AI, like that's just ultimately like these delivery numbers are going to become like the Apple iPhone or iPhones to Apple's reporting. It's just a number, and it's really, about everything else. And again, we're going to get a little bit into the energy business, but it's just one of those things where, Elon, I mean, we don't have to go through this whole thing again, but it's like, he hires the best want to work for him. The most ruthless working individuals on the planet are working at Tesla. And so, they're going to innovate. It's crazy. But I think, yeah, it was it a miss as far as Wall Street's expectations? Yes, by like 2%. Because I'm a numbers guy, so a miss is a miss. But at the same time, it's like I'm not worried about what the Wall Street is looking at. I mean, if I listened to Wall Street, I would have still had my price target at $25 like Gordon Johnson.
Wait, but let me ask a question. Isn't this the best quarter they've ever had? So I don't understand the miss.
Exactly.
Like, what the heck are they? Like, who makes up these numbers? Like, this is a record by any standard, but they wanted him to have a better record. Like,
Well, they play this game called Pin the Tail on the Donkey. So first they put on a blindfold, and really, that's kind of how they do it. We had lower sales in Q1 and 2. Q3 was fantastic. Q4 was a record, but of course, it's just not good enough. And again, looking back, who remembers a 2% miss from anything more than a single quarter ago? This bit short-term thinking. I have seen both reactions from my viewers. I've seen people who've said, this is really, really upsetting. I wish that the story had continued a little longer with this little growth run up. And I've seen a lot of other people say, wow, look at that, 10% off or 5% off. What a bargain. So unless your time horizon is less than a month or 6, I'm not concerned, because in the end, fundamentals will rule the day. It's going to be all that matters moving forward. And execution-wise, we got Megafactory Shanghai up and running.
Yep.
That's fantastic. 7 months. And a lot of people say, oh, well, in America, that would have taken 10 years. No, Joe will tell you, in Lathrop, they did it in a year, which is fantastic. But it's not because California is so awesome. It's because Tesla's so awesome. And when you combine Tesla speed with China speed, you get Megafactory Shanghai in 7 months.
And I'll just say personally that, and this is not financial advice, do your own research, but I wouldn't mind if the stock came down another 20 or 30% so that I can load up on leaps, because the next couple of years are going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Greedy, so greedy. He admits it.
Yes.
Oh, you Tesla people are all the same.
Oh, Hans.
Yeah, and it is. Time in the market will often beat timing the market. Timing the market is impossible. You have to know things that are often unknown. But that's, I'm a long-term holder. That's my comfort level. I know there are other people who've done quite well with different kinds of options, but I just prefer the ability to sleep at night.
Man, never a dull moment. I love your example of Pinatella donkey. I have not heard that reference since I was like a kid, it feels like.
When I thought of it, I was literally picturing like an AI generated Gordon Johnson wandering up with a blindfold and his price target. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very bizarre because they set a record for production and or whatever, and it's just like what the heck, man? Like,
Yeah, and if you're talking about misses at all, like 2%, I mean, you look at some of the other EV companies, it's not even, I mean, they're missing by a lot. So it's pretty insane. But I did want to showcase, I think you called out, I believe Joe, it was like you who had mentioned. So on the bottom right, you can see all the deliveries by quarter. So 495,000, about 2.3% growth rate. What's up, Nate? Thanks for saying hi. But yeah, this was a record quarter for sure. So it's pretty crazy just to see what they're doing. So I just wanted to showcase that. But the sleeper, I'll pass this one to Joe.
Yeah, man. Tesla's struggling, and the money that they lost, that few million for those deliveries, it just does not equate to what Tesla Energy is doing. As you can see here, it's just it's terrible, really. I mean, do your own research, but clearly the numbers are staggering. Like it's just insane. So I love CERN for this for his publishing of this. Like, that's about $31 million versus the $546 million that Tesla Energy just made up. And Sawyer Merritt's graph is just like, the energy deployment is like freaking nuts, man. And this is just like, I mean, Brian will tell you, this is just what can be accounted for. You got stuff that they've deployed that is not even going to come online until like later. So you're looking at that 11, and it's just like, it's a sleeper, really, because it's not the actual number of what they actually put out. It's just, it's gonna be nutty the next few years. These guys will love it.
Also worth noting, you remember when Tesla announced that they were going to build Giga Nevada, and I was among the many voices saying, really, why? Just buy them. Everyone else just buys them. And now we've got the factory running. When that factory was commissioned, worldwide combined output of lithium ion cells was only in the 30 to 35 gigawatt hour range. And we've deployed more than that in stationary storage alone this year. So that's some growth, y'all.
Yeah, that's really understated. Go ahead, Hans.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So again, Hans, were you gonna say something? Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, it's on the energy topic, so if you want to jump in here, I can follow up.
Yeah, no, it was just, I just wanted to show this chart from James Stevenson again. He's like, these go to 11 because the chart literally is at 10. And so this just shows the quarterly deployments, and you can continue to see that Q2 was huge, it looks like, this year as well. What was it, like 9.5 right there? But it's one of those things that is pretty crazy just to see where they're going. But I'll pass it to you back to you, Hans.
Yeah, the growth rates here are awesome, and then when you layer in the mega pack factory in Shanghai, like, this growth is going to continue, because that, what we're seeing coming out of Lathrop right now, it seems to be starting to kind of normalize at the rate that it's at, but which is, huge growth over what was before. But if we want to continue to grow from here, we do need more factories. But yeah, Shanghai is going to deliver that growth. There's no doubt about it. And the thing that I keep waiting to see, people keep basically estimating that the revenue from megapacks sold out of the Shanghai factory will be lagging in a similar fashion to the way that it is here in the United States. And I'm still skeptical of that assumption. It may be true, but I think that just like with many other things, energy build outs in China move at China speed, not Western world speed. And I think that the monetization coming out of the Shanghai Megapack factory for anything that's sold domestically in China could be a lot shorter time between when it's shipped out of the factory and when they actually get dollars in the bank account that they're allowed to account for. And Shanghai will be a huge market for those batteries. They're not all just going to be sold to Western nations through export. Those aren't just going to be. I will say that all of Australia's batteries, they're going to start coming from China because obviously way shorter to ship them from Shanghai than to ship them all the way from Lathrop. So Shanghai will be doing some export, but even think about that. The fact that they can save money by shipping those to Australia instead of from Shanghai instead of from Lathrop, well, that's going to save them shipping costs. They're going to make more money on those now. And probably COGS in Shanghai is going to be lower than in Lathrop as well.
Right.
So double win on that standpoint. And then that means that the Lathrop factory can make more money on everything that it sells here in the United States or in North America. And I think that the revenue growth that we're going to be seeing from energy is going to continue to surprise people to the upside.
There's
Yeah,
there's a third win in there I just want to point out real quick, which is that they're also, when we buy the cells from China to put into the stationary storage, we pay a tariff on it, a substantial one. And it wouldn't happen in Shanghai because it never left China yet. So that would cut another chunk of the cost out.
And you don't have to ship those batteries from Shanghai to Lathrop to put them into the batteries.
Well, so what I was going to say along that line is that whoever is in the backlog too, now they can get their orders like faster because now because what you're looking at is like Lathrop is doing it all, right? Versus now you have like two places that can do it. And so you can now, you know what I mean? You have two hands making the deals instead of one. And I think that's going to go a long ways as well.
I hope you're right on that, Joe, but I don't know on that point just because I think the delay in deliveries has more to do with the approval process from the utilities in the United States. Like, I think they're basically able to deliver, or at least up until this last couple quarters, they were basically able to deliver anything and everything that was approved. And now, as that does continue to grow, well, at least they can, deliver it from Lathrop now, and Lathrop can handle more of the North American stuff. So at some point here in the not too distant future, that probably will be true if it's not true today.
I would add to that. There's the other issue is the ground logistics, getting the transformers in that you need. If you're looking to buy a car, you can always move it up 6 months if you need to. The same with a semi. But when it comes to stationary storage, if you don't have the transformers ready to go, there's no point taking delivery 6 months or a year early because you wouldn't be able to use them effectively. So this is a slower process, but if you tell your customers, look, if you're looking for an earlier delivery, let me know what you're thinking and we'll see if we can swap slots around for you. I will agree with Hans that it is unlikely that we will see the kind of delays that we often see in the US with getting them electrified, which means the final tranche of payment is due in China. But there will still be a delay. Whether it's only 3 months or 6 months, it's still going to be a delay. But again, it doesn't matter because book it. The money's real. It's coming. These don't collapse at the last minute, at the 11th hour after everything's been done. It's just a question of when. And that goes right back to what we're saying about the fundamentals of the stock. You cannot ignore the fundamentals forever. If a company is very good or very bad, it doesn't matter how high or low the stock price is. It will revert to the mean eventually.
Well, as long as Brian keeps talking, the stock keeps going up. So I don't know if anybody's paying attention to Terry in the comments.
So we're going to do a live stream for the rest of the year just so he won't stop talking. So it'll just keep going up. Only bathroom breaks and food breaks. That's it.
Yeah.
Food breaks? Why would I need to break for that? They can watch me. It's an ASMR video.
Oh, Yeah, and then we'll get banned on but yeah, I think, I agree with everyone's inputs. I mean, the one thing is that, like, not that you should just bet on one thing or one aspect of the company, but that's the thing about this company is that, you could literally be a huge fan of the stock just based on the type of people that are working at this company alone. If there is going to be a faster or more easier way to build something, to get an approval, to get certain people on the phone, this is the company to do it. You cannot there's no one better in the world than Tesla at getting stuff done, reinventing things, building things. This is one of the best, maybe SpaceX, but again, those engineers interswap, right? So it's just one of those things where, when you think of the energy business, now that they're going to be able to build them outside of in China, it's just like how when Gigafactory Shanghai went up, it's going to save them on supply chain costs. And, Jeff Lutz isn't here to kind of talk about all of those perks, but yeah, as I think it was Brian who said, you're not going to have to ship all the way from Lathrop. And so it's just, I think it's a big win as they continue to turn this on. And who knows, maybe at some point they'll build a megapack factory in Europe or in other parts of the world, because that's probably the next most logical place depending on the demand, even though for storage and energy and solar, there's, you could literally be putting up panels and batteries, for the rest of your life and still not meet the demand. Right. So
yeah, it's pretty bizarre. What you know what I wonder? I wonder if Elon Musk has really had that conversation with, okay, who's making these transformers and can we get them to make them faster? Like, you know what I mean? Like I wonder if he's had that conversation or who he's tried to talk to, or if he's tried to even think about like how they could get that production moving as opposed to like everything they're doing on their end, you know what I mean? Because that seems to be the only bottleneck and it's nothing they can control.
I'm sure he has, just because, when chips were the bottleneck, you have the anecdote where Andre Karpathy's talking about, Elon just calls up Jensen. Hey, Jensen, we need to double the cluster now. What can you do for me? And, that was quite a while ago. And then Elon started talking about how transformers were going to be the bottleneck. So I guarantee, and we know that, the Elon Musk process is find the bottleneck and then work on the bottleneck until it's solved. And so if he is viewing transformers as a bottleneck, you can guarantee that there's some things that have been put into the works to try and accelerate that spot.
Or delete it with the batteries directly in solar.
Exactly. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
All right. So AI success 2024. I think that's also another thing not to sleep on, what this company delivered in 2024. Obviously, the most important thing on this list was the Cybertruck FSD, because I have a Cybertruck. That's the thing I only cared about. Just joking. But, I think that's one thing, is that this team did not let down or disappoint with V13. Especially, I do feel like kind of like a peasant in some ways, because with the Cybertruck, I don't get park to park and I don't have a 3 or Y to experience it in. I still actually haven't experienced the park to park, but that whole experience, V13 is crazy. They obviously delivered the holiday update along with ASS, which is actually Smart Summon. They did the whole park. They delivered the whole end-to-end network on the highway. But like I said, this is just part of the list. I think I don't have the list for this year, or at least their estimate. But again, this is an AI software company, and they're never disappointing when they deploy more software updates.
Yeah, I think it's pretty incredible. Oh, sorry, Hans. Somebody's asking if you had a Jolly Rancher in.
No, it was chocolate. I had a whole bunch of chocolate sitting here, and I just couldn't resist.
Yeah.
For people who want to just think about how far Tesla has come on the AI front in the last year, just remember how crappy version 11 was. And now we're on version 13. All of that progress was made in literally 12 months. And if you didn't get to experience how crappy version 11 was compared to version 13, well, lucky you. There's entire YouTube channels by people like Chuck Cook, and you can go back and watch hours and hours and hours of version 11 suckage and then compare it to amazing version 13. And so you can see for yourself how much better it's gotten from then to now. And if the implications of real world AI improving from that level of terribleness to what version 13 is doing today does not blow your mind and immediately cause you to think, wow, AI is really going to change everything in the next decade, well, then you should probably go have a brain scan.
That always makes
Not a product paid endorsement for brain scans, by the way.
all right. So, you know what? I'll take this one because I feel like I was in my citizen journalism mindset all New Year's Day as we were literally just sitting around watching movies and kind of resting up. But this was a prime example. So obviously this was really in the Tesla space. So, you know, Elon could literally just allow for this story to unravel. And it's crazy how legacy media has also kind of covered this and kind of said that Elon muffled his way into or pushed his way into the investigation to make it about him. But either way, what happened was, if you were under a rock this past week, we'll catch you up. Long story short, if you were in Las Vegas, there was a Cybertruck that rolled into the Trump International Hotel. And I guess within minutes there was explosions and fireworks that started to happen. And pretty much the Cybertruck exploded. One person died, which was the truck or the truck renter, I guess, because it was rented on Toro. And I think there was about 7 injuries or something. The one call out was the fact that because the explosion happened in the Cybertruck, the actual windows right next to the Cybertruck did not shatter. And I was probably one of the first to bring their Cybertrucks to this hotel because we stayed there in February. And they are call it 6 feet away from where that person was parking, like less than that. So the fact that it didn't shatter is just crazy because literally the entrance, it's all window, just straight up. So it was pretty wild, but all of this stuff was just breaking on X the whole day. It was, hey, the Tesla senior team is looking into this, to, hey, we've confirmed that this is not this was not a battery fire, and the fire happened due to bombs or fireworks. And then from there, you know, even the Las Vegas police mentioned that Tesla and specifically Elon Musk were able to provide all of the surveillance and all of the information that really helped to like a speedy discovery of a lot of the things going on. Again, a lot of this stuff is happening real time. He was Green Beret, active duty. And so from Colorado Springs, I'm forgetting his name right now, but those are the big things. But, you know, I'll leave it to the rest of the team. I just wanted to give you, that's the story. And then we can get into how awesome the Cybertruck is. But I wanted to see, what did you guys think about this? What did you think about, you know, it happening in a Cybertruck and really even at a Trump Tower? What were you guys thinking?
Well, I'll say, Brian, you're on mute, so I'll speak. Lucky me. So I'll say that when it started breaking, and I can't even tell you how many DMs I got from all of my friends, like, oh, this Cybertruck's on fire at Trump. I was like, I watched, I had seen the video because everything happens on X right away. So I had already seen the video, and I was like, I could see the fireworks, and I was like, okay, this is not a battery explode. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a battery fire. Like what the heck are you guys talking about? But of course, they're not as in depth as we are and into the weeds of all this stuff. And so, of course, to them, it was just like what the news was reporting it as, which thank goodness for Alexandra and in that potential lawsuit that's coming that Elon is supporting. But all of this happened, and the battery never even caught fire. Like that, like that's kind of incredible. Like, to me, I mean, besides the fact that we've all seen a Whistling Diesel video where he puts an explosive on the truck and it doesn't do anything, as opposed to like an aluminum vehicle where it just like goes right through. So, I mean, clearly the truck was not gonna like. I don't know why you would even think to take an all steel vault and try. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak to the intelligence of the people who planned this out, but that just doesn't seem like a good idea to me. But the fact that you could detonate a freaking explosive in this truck and still not have a battery fire is kind of impressive.
I think there's a very real possibility that the intention of the act was to send a message rather than to hurt people. And if the objective is to make a splash and cause the least amount of actual material harm, that's a good way to do it. Because, yeah, if you look at the scene, if you zoom out, like John was saying, and like I pointed out in my shows over the past few days, the windows didn't break, the tires didn't pop, the battery itself did not go down. Most of the air suspension remained intact. So it was, the damage was quite limited, but spectacular to view, as fireworks always are. The lawsuit idea is a bad idea. It will backfire. We're upset because Associated Press had a headline that wasn't complete. It was a developing story. They continued changing the headline as new information came in and updating the story as new information came in. But they can't change our screenshots that we had already taken. That's not within their control. There are publications that do genuinely bad work. Associated Press is not really one of them. Their work is pretty good. It is of high standard, of high moral and ethical responsibility. Why was Cybertruck in the headline? Because that's what everyone searched for when they searched for this, and that's what we click on. We can't get mad at what we as humans decide to click on. And they got community noted because a headline that was true at the time wasn't accurate enough afterwards when we knew more. And community notes, that's great. That's what that's for. But a lawsuit, that is, I mean, if we're going to open up the door to everyone who feels like they were defamed by Elon or X launching a lawsuit, we're going to need a whole other planet of forest to cut down just for the paperwork involved. It's crazy. It's not how it works. And it would set a very bad precedent. Tesla was not defamed in that first headline. It just said, the problem I had with the headline was it said caught fire and exploded. It should have said exploded and then caught fire. But I don't think they knew that at the time the headline was written. And on the scale of bad journalism, that's very, very low. It just feels like we're demanding to speak to the manager of news, and I think that's a bad look and would set a bad precedent.
I demand to speak to the manager of news. Oh my God, Hans.
Yeah, Hans, what did you think about the exploding Cybertruck?
It is, yeah, definitely. I think I side with Brian here on it seems like it's more meant to make a point than to cause a ton of damage. And the thing that you can't, deny here is that doing it in the Cybertruck as opposed to any other vehicle earned it even more. Like, it was going to get a ton of media coverage, obviously, either way. But having that Cybertruck, both the image and the the name is something that gives it a lot more play in the media. So for that reason, I think that's why they picked it. And I'm super impressed by the truck itself, obviously, and its ability to withstand that, for the battery not to catch fire. And over time, Tesla's just going to have to continue to prove to people by butts and seats that these are the safest cars in the road. Like, all of those things are still true. It's really frustrating that we're starting to see this kind of uptick in domestic terrorism. Unfortunately, I don't think that we've seen the last of this. I think that we're going to probably be seeing more and more of this in the coming year. Really, I think for the foreseeable future, and that's a whole separate issue that I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole right now for this podcast. Not really the place or the time for it.
Yeah, my thoughts were obviously the timing of it, and obviously we don't know quite how the attacks were coordinated, and again, we don't necessarily have to discuss everything here, but they definitely were trying to send a message. I mean, also too, you think of the Cybertruck versus a Model Y. The Cybertruck is the most polarizing and viral product launched in the most recent digital era, in my opinion, and so this is the truck or thing to do to make a statement in. But also too, depending on, I don't know what they were trying to accomplish, but the Cybertruck was able to hold up, which is pretty crazy. And then what's even crazier is the fact that Elon plans to, he actually plans on restoring it and putting it back on the road. So I think a lot of our suggestions have been put it in the Peterson Museum, put it somewhere, maybe even auction it off for charity. But I think that the irony behind that and being able to put this in a museum or really somewhere on display, even if it's at Gigafactory, Texas, will just really send a message of and a statement of like how amazing the truck is, but the response by Tesla and Elon to whatever this is. If it's terrorism, again, we'll see what it is. Clearly, they were trying to make a statement. So good times. All right. So Joe, I'll pass this one to you. Joe, you're muted.
Yeah, I was moving my mouse to the mute button. All right, so Tesla investors are taking the judge to court. This is pretty cool that Kathy Woods, Bark Invest, and a few other prominent figures are going to go ahead and take this to task because, like, I mean, we've said this before on the show. Like, the fact that our voices weren't heard is a problem, and the fact that the judge went against the wishes of the investors is a problem. Like, it's just, there's so much of this that just reeks that it's just is really disgusting, you know what I mean? So, but I like the fact that they are taking this to task and doing something about it.
If you love or hate Elon, you should still support this appeal because this goes much, much bigger. If this verdict is allowed to stand, it would change the face of corporate law in Delaware forever. This was a bad ruling. You can hate Elon and still recognize that this was a bad ruling. We're mad because Elon got paid in just stock, and the correct figure is $0. Get real. Come on. And why is no Lucid shareholder filed a lawsuit against Peter Rawlinson for getting $250 million for bleeding money from the eyes? It's ridiculous. And yeah, let's look at all the, how come 78% of the employees at NVIDIA are millionaires now? Someone should investigate that. It's ridiculous.
The sad thing is no one cares, right? It's just Elon and all the stuff he's doing there. But yeah, I think I agree with the sentiment of Joe and Brian. It's if this stuff stands, I mean, you're talking people even now. I'll see some of the comments on some of the other platform or on some of the platforms. Why does Elon Musk care about his $56 billion? And they have no context. They just see, okay, this guy's worth $400 billion. Why does he care about another 56? And it's like, this goes back to the principles of 2018 production hell. This was a plan that was not going to be accomplished anytime soon. There's news agencies who were like, why would anyone sign up for a 100% performance-based compensation package? There was just so many of those things that they have no context on. But we'll see how this turns. It'll be interesting because you're seeing it what happened with OpenAI. So, I mean, again, completely off topic, but as you know, OpenAI is going from nonprofit to for-profit, and you see a couple of other tech companies stepping in and giving their kind of stamp of approval. In this, I'm actually surprised that there's not more companies backing this, and maybe there are behind the scenes, or maybe they've come out, but to allow a state to dictate what the shareholders have approved is just so backwards. It does not make any sense.
The big one I wanted to debunk is this insane, truly, genuinely insane notion. People love to say that, well, guiding internally, a lot of these milestones were going to be hit anyway. Well, great. But that doesn't mean anything. If you believe Tesla's internal guidance, you should have bought the stock. And internal guidance is meaningless because the tranches come in two different categories, and one of them is market cap. And Tesla does not control their market cap. So, yeah, if you could see, well, this is definitely going to happen, and you didn't invest, come on, get real. If it was obvious to everyone that it was going to happen, the stock would have exploded that day instead because then, free money, get in. But yeah, it wasn't. It was insane. We even saw clips of Aaron Ross Sorkin saying, this pay package is bonkers. Yeah, it's $1 kajillion or zero. It's somewhere in between. And no one has ever taken a risk this big. Well, Steve Jobs also took no paycheck. Great. That was his choice. That's what he negotiated. Give me more examples from this century and we'll talk.
Exactly. So with that said, if you want a Cybertruck, you need to make sure that you go get one, because who knows how long this Cybertruck discount will be around for. But right now, if you go get a Cybertruck, you can get one for roughly around, $72,500 if you qualify for the tax, the IRS rebate or federal tax rebate. So huge news if you're looking to make a move in 2025 and your stock is outperformed. Make those moves, because now you know that your Cybertruck will not deflate the tires if you have an explosion in the back of it. Again, not that you should try that out, but someone probably will again, outside of a whistling diesel or but yeah, I think it's a great time to make a move on a Cybertruck. These things are amazing. I know 2 of the 4 panelists right now own one, and so they are really great cars, great trucks, awesome work truck as well. So.
Hey, and surprisingly, Tesla still has their referral program up, so they didn't discontinue it on December 31st like I was afraid they might. And so you can get an extra $1,000 off your Cybertruck order by using either Joe, John, or my Tesla referral code. You can't really use Brian's because he's already maxed out.
I thought it reset. Sawyer said it reset on January 1st.
Oh,
Does
did
anyone
it?
have clarification on that?
I don't know.
So maybe.
Well, hey.
Who knows?
Maybe you can use Brian's after all.
I would like to get additional credits, please. Because remember, it also counts towards getting a ticket to the next event. And one of these days, they're going to have to let me in.
It'll happen, man. It'll happen.
I've just been spending all the money on Tesla stuff.
Yeah, you have a Tesla problem. We all know that.
I balled out.
All right. Joe, I'll pass the one to you.
So we kind of touched on this a little bit. Brian was commenting on it. But in 7 months, we got the Giga Shanghai energy is done. And they're going to start production this year. It looks like this quarter probably, right, Brian?
They're still saying first half, but yes, this quarter without a doubt. You saw how quickly things moved in Lathrop. Imagine that, but a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
All right. Redwood growth. Redwood Materials recycled a record 20 gigawatt hours of batteries in 2024. That's nearly double the amount of battery storage Tesla deployed in all of Q4 in 2024. So because they deployed 11 gigawatt hours. But yeah, it's going to take a village to make sure that we have these batteries, not only when they're made, that they're able to be 100% recycled. And if you don't know, Redwood Materials is run by JB, who was one of the co-founders of Tesla. So this company is based out of Reno or Sparks, Nevada. And so it's really cool to see how they're working together with other companies and Tesla to recycle their batteries. Joe, you're muted.
And for context, 20 gigawatt hours is about almost 18 backs to the future.
I actually thought there was going to be more companies that went this route of Redwood Materials, because it's free money at some point, right? Like, all you have to do is just take these products in and just, I'm really surprised that more companies have not come forth and take the mantle of this. I mean, you don't, like, just as we see with Tesla, you don't need to be number one in everything, but definitely more people into it makes a difference. And 20 gigawatt hours is freaking insane, man. Like, that's impressive.
And when if we keep hearing people saying these are going into landfills and this is bad for the environment, it is now time to just send them the link and say, no, my friend, no, those days have passed.
Those days have passed.
Joe, this one to you, man.
Yeah, and Redwood Materials just continues to just do the thing, man. They're expanding, you know what I mean? And this is like right near Giga, Nevada, so it's pretty awesome that they would even do this. They're just really doing everything they can to make a difference. And you're looking at a situation where you have a full circle of events with the production, the life cycle, and being able to Redwood Materials like recycle the whole thing. Like, it's a full circle. It's a pretty cool network that they've created, and it's gonna be the future and the way things should be. And it's pretty awesome to think that once your battery degrades so much that you can just freaking break it down and make a new battery and it'll be fine. Like, it's just bizarre that a battery could degrade and then just be chopped up and made into another battery. Crazy.
All right. Well, Vanpol invests in Tesla. King County Metro Vanpol adds 120 more electric vehicles. So another cool one to see. But yeah, with that, we actually got through all of the whole deck. But what a wild week. But yeah, I think I'll throw it to the panelists just to, any additional things that they want to call out, or just, we can end on that. Just stuff that, because I know Brian and Hans, you guys discuss a lot of other things outside of this because you're running daily shows and part of other groups as well. But if there's anything you guys want to either bring up or discuss, we can. Otherwise, we can end with the call outs from the conversation today.
I'd like to mention that half of this group at least will be in Texas for the Starship 7 test launch. I will be there. John will be there. Hans will be in the state, whether or not he makes it to Starbase.
Did they finally schedule it? I hadn't seen that yet.
That Elon has confirmed the 10th. Someone had asked. And so, yeah, it is the 10th. I will be in Brownsville or South Padre the 9th through the 12th. Find me. It will be a lot of fun, and I'll be losing my mind because I've never seen a rocket launch. This will be my first, and it is one of those excitement guaranteed launches. So we will. The only way it's a little disappointing is if all I can do is hear it instead of see it because of cloud cover. But I would, even if the launch were for some reason scrubbed, it would be still the experience of being there with all the SpaceX crazy people like me.
I'll be in CES. I'll be in Vegas at the CES.
Yeah, if you actually look on this side, you can actually see this is Starship 5. A guy named Andrew. He's Cosmic Background on Instagram. I think he's got like 1.5 million. Long story short, he brings like a high resolution camera, and he literally caught the full round trip of the thing all the way up and all the way down. But that's what I'm looking forward to next week is seeing the catch. I need to see the catch.
Yeah.
I didn't get it on Starship 6. I couldn't go to Starship 5, but I need to be able to see the catch. That's for me is the full experience, because they're gonna do potentially 24, 25 launches this year, and I'm not gonna be able to go to that many. But these first couple I've been to, I believe 4 of the 6, 5 of the 6. And so it's one of those things where every opportunity has just been absolutely amazing. Brian, if you can try to see the rocket the day before on the 9th, go out there, experience walking up to it and what that's like.
Oh, dude, it's incredible. Like you can right there. Like, yeah,
I've been to Starbase. I've seen Booster. I haven't seen a full stack. I get in at 6 p.m. on the 9th. So depending who picks me up from the airport, maybe I will demand a trip out there. But getting through border control, because there are border checkpoints on our soil, is time consuming. Well, no, it's just time consuming because I think a lot of people will be doing the same thing. Last time I went out, it was very time consuming, but it is, and I've been invited to be on a boat in the harbor with Tesla Tino and a couple other people. So we will be up close and personal. I'm very excited.
Awesome. Well, everyone, have a great week. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. Please make sure to like this podcast. Also, give a follow to both Brian, Hans, and Joe. Brian and Hans's YouTube channels are tagged. Yes, go watch Brian's videos. But yeah, feel free to use the referral codes as well. And we will see you guys all next week. Happy New Year, and catch you on the flip side.
Wait, will we be here next week? Because you guys are doing the launch and stuff.
I think we might be able to make it happen. We'll see. TBD on that.
It would just be a couple hours after the launch, assuming it goes at 7, although I guess I don't know what the time will be.
4 p.m. Central is what I think.
Oh, the same as 6?
Yeah, I think they changed the time because they want more visibility for it coming down. I think the problem is when you launch at 7 a.m. still, it's a lot of
it's dark in the Indian Ocean where the ship is going to land, if that's what they're doing again.
Yep.
Interesting.
Sounds good. We will see